gonna give it a second to populate because I don't know. Sometimes the live stream can cut stuff off because it's not fully on. But hey, everybody, how you doing? How are you doing? I'm glad to be back. Um, for another opportunity to uh, serve whoever may be watching and benefiting from these. So I very much so pray that these are helping. And yeah. So I had a question. Just a simple question, and I'll be out of your hair. And my question is, musically speaking, do you know your mission? And when I say this, I mean, do you know the reason that, like, the focus and the goal of why you are making music, right? Um, do you know the agenda behind why you are making music, why you're making music, why you could be performing um, XYZ? Like, do you know your mission? Do you know why you're about to hit a stage if you're performing? Do you know why you're making a track if you're producing something for someone else? Do you know what the goal is behind what you're doing, right? And I ask this because I believe this is one of the main, if not really one of, yeah, it's the main thing that will determine a few things. It'll determine, I believe, your success. I believe it will determine um, people's desire to hear from you as a musical artist. It will determine a lot of things. Here's why. When you have someone who doesn't understand their mission, you have someone who has already mismanaged their influence, right? When you have someone who doesn't understand their mission, you have someone who has already mismanaged their influence. Because at this point, you just stand to have influence. You stand to have an ear. But for what reason do you have a person's ear, right? You would do well to go into whatever it is you're doing with a clear cut mission. This is the goal. This is what I'm desiring to see. This is who I'm desiring to see impacted. This is what I believe the song will accomplish XYZ, right? This is when I stand on the stage to perform. This is the goal. This is what I want the end result to be. Or this is what I want to be able to convey. Your mission is, and I talked a little bit about this the other night or the other day, I think. Your mission is comprised of a few things, and it influences a few things. It influences, and it is connected to your motive. It is connected to, and from your motive that connects to your messaging, right? and and then it connects to your actual musical content, right? So your mission overall connects your motive, your um musical content, and what was the third thing? Ain't that terrible? And your messaging. And I sometimes swap that because within messaging you can think lyrical content, and that is true, but your lyrical content is shaped by the message you're wanting to convey and that you're trying to convey. So when you're trying to convey a particular thing, um, message wise, the lyrics get shaped by that. The lyrics may not be the exactness, but they may carry the essence of what it is, right? And it'll be, either further built out or it'll be condensed based upon whatever. Um, but it's very important that you know your mission. It's very important. Your mission, even as if you're okay, you're a music artist, by way of full blown, like, you do the performing, right? Um, if you have 2 minutes, right? Not a whole set. If you have 2 minutes to perform, the difference between your performance bombing and your performance actually hitting the mark is your awareness and your intentional adherence to your mission. You can literally grab attention and pull people into the world of your musical artistry within 2 minutes if you will set your intention and be intentional in your missional focus, because your mission will then drive the essence of your performance. And when you're confident in your mission, right, when you're confident in your mission, it shows. I do this. Hey, how you doing? What's up? Because I understand that there's a mission behind what I'm doing, right? There has to be. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you? There has to be an intentionality with what we're doing. So again, you can get 2 minutes on the stage, two whole minutes, and you could grab a new set of listeners based upon how well you understand your mission and how well you execute your performance in adherence to that mission. But it starts with a mission. I'm staying up all night. What's up, everybody that's joining? That adherence to the mission, that performance will be based on your confidence in your mission, right? I say it like this: the difference between someone who exudes that stage presence and we'll say they just have they carry an aura, right? That's sometimes what we say. Um, Whether they are running across stages or they're standing flat foot singing, right? That engagement, that that the attention grab, it has almost nothing to do with busyness, because sometimes busyness or whatever can be too much, and then it also has nothing to do with stillness in activity, because sometimes that can be boring. The difference between somebody that's boring or busy versus someone who runs across the stage, is a little bit busy on stage, or stands flat foot and is still keeping the audience, the listeners engaged, is that confidence in the mission. It's the intentionality. When you stand to sing, when you play your instrument, there's an intentionality behind every note, an intentionality behind every phrase, because you know what you're trying to convey. Your mission is clear. Therefore, the message you're trying to get across, you will be intentional in how you park that, right? This is where we get um this is how we actually grow in um confidence as a performer as well, like standing on stages. This works across the board. I'm speaking musically, but this can work across the board. When you know what your mission is and you steady yourself in actually and I want to say study your mission, even like you become the answer that you're attempting to put out and attempting to be, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the answer that your mission gives to a person. Because at the end of the day, here's what I believe a mission should do. I believe a mission should serve people, musically speaking, but it can go broader. Think about, you could be about to record a project or wanted to write some songs or write start a new whatever musical thing. Why? You know? And who are you trying to reach? And what are you trying to say to them? You know what I mean? Well, I want to help domestic. I know I think I did this yesterday. Um, I want to help um, those that you know survive or go through domestic violence, and I want to write a song geared towards that world. Okay, here. Okay, what do you want to say to them? What the mission is? Um, I want to touch domestic violence people, right? So what are you trying to say? What are you doing? What are you encouraging them through? Obviously, you know what you're encouraging them through, obviously. But encouraging them to leave, encouraging them, da da da, stay strong, XYZ, XYZ. Once you figure out your mission And again, that shapes your motives and your messaging. And again, your musical content then is shaped that way. We cooking. You know what I mean? That I know that's like, but that type of stuff is what makes the difference between sitting around waiting to be randomly, um, trying to pull, um, quote unquote creativity out of the air and just pull ideas and just da 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 da. You don't have to pull idea. There's an intentionality. Inspiration follows alignment. Inspiration comes for the purpose of conveying the right message, right? So you have to be, mm, you have to search. Here's what I'll tell you: search out your cause. Why were you born? Why? And I know it's whatever. Well, why were you born? Why do you feel like you're supposed to do music? Who do you feel like you're supposed to impact? Why do you feel like you're supposed to impact them? What do they need impacting in? Get what I'm saying? What do they actually need impacting in? What areas of their lives do you feel like need to be spoken into? These questions will get you closer and closer to becoming an answer. Now we can go a deeper remedy. Like, okay, okay, what do you believe needs to be spoken? So, what do you believe needs to be spoken about? What needs to be spoken into? I know this is but these are the deeper. If we were doing a one-on-one, this would be the same questions I would ask you. Nothing too different. You're writing a song, cool. For what are you trying to do? Because a lot of people will be like, I got writer's block, and you don't really have writer's block as much as you have no missional focus. You're just trying to shoot in the dark, and you think you're just gonna write a hit song shooting in the dark. I mean, amen, every so often. But I believe, and I truly believe this, that intentionality will win this war. You shooting in the dark ain't gonna do it. Mm. And I personally, if I got any hand in the way that you are, trained musically or trained as an artist or mentored or coached through, then I'm always gonna be on the side of intentionality. If I'm coaching you, if I'm mentoring you, I'm training you, we're not just shooting in the dark with these songs. What is your mission? Why don't you have one? And you think you're about to just sit here and just we're not making mindless music. We're not we're gonna make music that matters. People are out here hurting. All this pain and stuff in the world, you can't find nothing that touches your heart enough for you to write about it, and you to speak to the heart of men and women and children around the world, at least in your local community. Ain't nothing musically you can delve into. Nothing. You sure? What upsets you on the political scale? I know. Now I would take it a step further because, especially, I really do believe in, I believe in Yahweh, the God of creation. I believe that the God. of the Bible, the one who authored it, um, is God, right? And I believe that Jesus is Lord. And so, in that case, when we start delving into some of these issues, obviously, gonna start digging a little deeper in what we believe about XYZ before we just start spewing stuff at people because we don't want to just spew stuff at people. Again, if you're a Christian musical artist, you have a certain standard, right? But what I'm saying is you got to be clear in your focus, your missional focus. What is this song about? What is it for? What is this project for? Who is it for? That seems simple enough, I know, but it really, really, if we're not intentional, we'll miss it every time. We'll miss the mark every time. You've got to be intentional in your mission. You've got to be aware of your mission. You've got to set yourself inside of your musical mission. I'm a music artist because I can't even think of them at random. Ain't that bad? I'm gonna have to find some more examples so these sound a little more professional. But I'm a music artist because I want people to not have to experience and go through depression without end, right? So I want to help people overcome their depression through my songs, through my sound. Cool. How we doing that now? See, and once you set that intention, once that's your mission, now you start to frame your songs. What types of now we start to now it even here it is. You might have to study a little bit. What are some causes of depression outside of the chemical imbalance? What are some other actual causes that causes people to enter into states of depression and stuff like that? What is the stuff that pulls people down and pulls people into these weird mental states? What are some fighters of mental stability and peace? You start to study that out, and then you start to write against that type of stuff. I believe now, again, Christian over here. I believe that's spiritual warfare at that point. So, and that's intentional spiritual warfare. So now we're setting up musically against these things. You know what I mean? So this is what is causing people to fall into depression right through here. And so let's write a song that counteracts this. Now I'm gonna ask God, help me to navigate this. What is the remedy for this? Right? Eh, But we study and we because that makes it's not haphazard. Your musical artistry, I want you to hear me on this. Your musical artistry and the success of your impact is not going to be a haphazard thing. It won't be. The accomplishing of your mission and the continual accomplishing of your mission will not be a haphazard thing. It's going to be, say with me, intentional. It has to be. So yeah, I you know that's pretty much it for now. I didn't get on here for a long time tonight. But yeah, we gotta set ourselves out up in our mission. Like really ask yourself the hard questions. Ask the hard questions. Do I know what my mission is? Do I have a mission? Do I even have any type of mission? Like search up the definition of mission and it just set you a mission. And don't just set one. And I encourage you, especially if you're a Christian musical artist, and that doesn't mean you're in the box of what we know as Christian music. It means you're a Christian who is called to be a musical artist. I have to always get a disclaimer because we'll think that means you sing worship music or CCM or whatever the case might be, of what we traditionally call worship music and CCM and gospel music. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you're a Christian, you're one who names Christ as Lord and believes God raised him from the dead, and all that stuff. So you gotta like with that stuff, you gotta also make sure your mission aligns. Um, and one of the biggest things you can do is ask God, why am I here? Why did you create me? Show me why you called me to music. Show me who I'm called to impact. It may be, it may not just be one set set of people, you know what I mean? It may be multiple types of people and multiple types of things that you're called to address, but you've got to know your mission one way or another, right? What is your mission for today? What is your mission for the next project? Excuse me. Your overall mission, all the stuff. So yeah, I hope that helps. But yeah, that's really I would and pay attention. I think I said this yesterday again. But pay attention when you ask God to show you your mission and like why he has you doing music and like asking God to really do that. Pay attention to what comes up and what starts to irritate you. Sometimes the things that irritate you and the things that vex you are a sign of what you're called to address, right? Things that annoy you may be the things that you're assigned to address, right? Um, one of the people I herald as a mentor, maybe from afar, but Prophet Stephen Chestnut says your vexations are an indication of the vaccinations that you carry, right? And so yeah, what annoys you, what frustrates you, what even in some senses angers you, may be an indication of the things that you're called to address. And so pay attention when you ask God, show me what I'm assigned to address musically or otherwise, honestly, but musically, speaking, we'll say musically for today. Show me what I'm called to address musically. And don't be surprised. One, if he speaks directly to you, he places something in your spirit, in your mind, your heart, or he allows you to come across something on social media or in the news, and it annoys you to a particular point. You're like, not this mess again, not this. I don't understand why this is like that. Pay attention, because sometimes you have answers for stuff in private conversations when you're talking to your friends, when you're talking to your loved ones about certain things that you see coming up, and you're like, man, if they would just da, 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 I just was da, da, da." Sometimes that's what you're called to address. And if you've been given musical artistry as your avenue, congratulations, you found your mission. All right. So I'm hopping off. I appreciate you guys for jumping on and rocking with me tonight for a few minutes. Thank you to everyone who came on, who liked, and if you shared. Um, and if you're watching after the fact, also you as well for liking, and if you shared, thank you so much. Um, Y'all know if you desire to, you can subscribe to the channel and stay up to date. I'll be back tomorrow, most likely. We're trying to do this every day. Uh, I really do feel like this is important, though. I feel a push to really speak to those who will hear. And hey, if you find it helpful, if you find it useful, if you find it encouraging, then I'm Amen. I doing what I need to do. Doing what I need to do regardless, but making sure I'm pulling up to at least show up to the fight. And that's because I know my mission. And when you know your mission, you can be confident in the fact that you're going to hit your target at some point. God isn't going to send you into a mission field to fail. I want you to say this, repeat this after me. I'm not going to fail. All right. I want to encourage you as a musical artist. I know one of the fears can be, well, what if nobody, da, 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 and what if I, da, 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 what if I fail? What if I fail at this whole thing? I want you to be encouraged If God really called you to this, and you will do your due diligence to set your intentions and allow God to show you why he called you to this and who he called you to in this and how he's calling you to do it, you won't fail. So once again, say it out of your mouth with me. I will not fail. I will not fail. I will not fail. Encourage yourself. Say, I will not fail. I will not fail. I will not fail. So let me make this thing. What's up? Yeah, I will not fail. Your musical career won't be a failure. Your your I gotta search it out. Yeah, I don't think I know who it is. I thought you were saying your name was Malik Scott, but your music won't fail. Your career won't fail. Your project won't flop, and you'll be like, well, what if only 10 people listen to it? If you're hitting your intended target, I'll say your target audience, your intended targeted listener, and you're impacting them in the way that the mission that you're on calls for, your album, your project, your music, your career is not a flop. That's all I'm saying. Because when you change your mission, or when you understand your mission, or change your mission to, when you understand your mission, your measure of success changes. What you use to measure success changes when you know your mission. Ex professional person. Oh, okay. I'm gonna search them up. When you know your mission, how you measure success changes. I ain't worried about all that. People just get on here saying whatever. I just be laughing sometimes. So that's the last thing I think I'm gonna leave you with. You can't measure success by their standard and by what you think you're seeing as success. And it may be success for somebody else, but it doesn't mean it's your success. The Bible says it like this: despise not small beginnings, right? I'll say it like this: small wins are still victories. Small impact, if you're hitting the right targets, it's still impact. It's still a success. So once again, one more time, and I'm out of here. Say it out of your mouth. I'm not going to fail. I can't fail. Too sure of why I'm on the mission in the first place. If you stick to it, you won't fail. All right, so I'm off. I'll be back on tomorrow. We'll talk some more. Um, and yeah. So in the meantime, true. But I wanna. So is that failure? I know. I just like to ask that question. Is it failure, or here's what I see it as, and this is just me. Yeah, I get the concept though. I understand that. It might be a slight fall or trip up or like it, but I don't see it as failure. I literally see it as a part of process and learning. Because there are some points where, and if there is failure, it is to the end that maybe there's a lack of understanding about mission or purpose or whatever. It's still course correction. And so, and it's still, at that point, you still don't ultimately fail. You get corrected, but you don't ultimately fail. So yeah. But like I said, I get the sentiment. Like when you run a marathon, you hit the wall several times, but eventually you don't give up. You'll get through it and make it to the end. True. True. Yeah. Now that, that's good. I like that. So yeah, we're out. We're out. But like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll chat some more on these particular topics, and I'll see you in the meantime. All right. So stay inspired, everybody. All right. Peace.